This episode of the Linux Action Show is brought to you by DigitalOcean and by Ting. Go to last.ting.com and save $25 off your first device or your first month of service. Welcome to Linux Action Show, episode 349. My name is Chris.
My name is Matt.
Hey, Matt, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Are you ready for me to tell folks about the big show today?
Big time.
All right, coming up on the show this week, we're going to have a chat with Ruben. He's the main developer and founder of Trisquel GNU/Linux. He's going to come on here to talk to us about the project's mission, some of the headwinds the project faces, what the future holds, and their new focus on privacy.
Nice.
Yeah, and no proprietary software was used in the making of that interview.
Boom.
I don't think.
Not to my knowledge, no.
Don't hold me to it. I can't, I can't actually verify that everything in the link was, because, I don't have any idea what 5 hops on down the internet. Don't hold me to it.
You can say nearly or almost and never
as
be
much
lying.
as possible.
Absolutely.
Let's go with that. As much as possible. Yep. And then in the news segment, we're going to talk about something that Mark Shuttleworth said about putting Ubuntu on everything from robots to drones and then selling apps on all of them. Pfsense has a huge update, and so does Plasma Desktop version 5.2 came out. I've been kicking the tires for a few days. I'll give you some of my initial thoughts on that. The next version of Gnome is going to totally kick ass, and we'll tell you why. And then it turns out Chris has got another laptop coming.
What?
Yeah. The Librem project met its funding goal, and we're going to talk about that, give you a quick update on a couple of things. Big show. And we got some big stuff in the feedback segment to talk about, too. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. So, Matt, should we start with our picks?
Yes, always.
All right. Well, I love to start with the Runs Linux pick. It's kind of tradition. And this is probably the smallest Runs Linux you're ever going to get your hand on, because this tiny mouse, the mouse box,
I like the name.
Runs Linux.
That's cool. Mouse box.
Yeah, look how little itsy bitsy it is.
It's just a mouse. Yeah.
They got a pretty great video. We got to watch this. It's good. So I'm going to play a little bit of this video. It gives you a good idea of what the mouse box is. But picture it, ladies and gentlemen, an entire Linux computer in the mouse. Does it get any crazier
Have you
than
ever
that?
thought about a PC set without a PC box? What thing has not been changed much since the very beginning of computers? What is being used by people has many alternatives, but without a bigger success. We would like to introduce the mouse box. Imagine the world where a mouse is no longer just a mouse, it's your PC. A perfect combination. There are situations when using your own computer is forbidden. At work, for example. The mouse box can be used as a normal mouse for your notebook, or if you like, as an independent PC. You can
see
use
the unity
both
there?
modes at the same time.
Nice.
Just switch the screen input.
So I like this. I'm going to back
That
this
was
up.
very undercover. I love how
Yeah,
it's like,
so the whole
crap.
idea is like dude's just chilling, and he's got his mouse. Look, you know what, boss, I'm going to bring my own mouse into work. And he has the micro HDMI going out to the secondary input on his work monitor, and then he's switching inputs on the monitor between the mouse and the work computer. Let's just watch this little scene again.
That was awesome.
I love this.
You can use both modes at the same time. Just switch the screen input. Nobody will know. The mouse box has been equipped with a micro HDMI connector, which allows a direct connection to a projector, a screen, or a TV. While it is connected to your notebook or PC, it behaves like a normal mouse. In addition, it is possible to transfer your data into it. You can easily draw, select, or create, a better way than using the standard touchpad. Remember, the only thing you need to make the mouse box work is a screen. Take it and use it anywhere you want to. Choose the mouse box and increase space in your home or office.
I mean, there's another Unity shot right there. And I think they're watching the Linux Action Show right there on the screen. I can't quite tell, but
Of course they are, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's obviously what he was doing when the boss came. He's like, oh, man, I'm watching this.
This is the mouse box. It has a micro HDMI interface. It has 2 USB 3.0 ports. It's got Wi-Fi, BGN, OBS, 128 gigabytes of storage built in. ARM CPU.
Like my mom, who uses one of those little mini computers, it's actually running Ubuntu, if I'm not mistaken. This would be ideal. I mean, because she's like all about the space savings and doesn't give a flying crap about the power.
I also do kind of like it as, if I'm stuck in the office place, I want to have my own rig. It's got possibilities.
When you got your boss coming up, and you're like, oh crap, got to hide the Amazon.
I don't believe it's actually a product you can buy yet. They say we need your help. Your help is crucial for our team in order to turn the device prototype into a complicated, ready-to-go mass production device. We'll be extremely grateful if you would like to support us with your knowledge and improve this project. They're not even asking for money necessarily. They're just asking for people's engineering skills.
That's quite reasonable.
They got a good video engineering team. 1.4 gigahertz ARM Cortex processor, by the way.
That's very reasonable.
Would you try one, Matt?
I would try one all day long.
I would try one as like a challenge for like a couple of days. See if I could use it as my main rig.
I mean, really, for a lot of tasks, I mean, depending on what you're doing in the browser, some stuff, video, obviously, probably be out of the question. But I think for just casual usage, absolutely, why not?
Yeah, why not? Have some fun. Hey, you know what else is fun? DigitalOcean, sponsor of the Linux Action Show. Go over to DigitalOcean.com. Bring our promo code of power with you. Last Digital, one word, LAS Digital, to get a special discount. $10 credit over at DigitalOcean. What is DigitalOcean? It's better than a computer and a mouse. Way, way, way better. It's your own computer in the cloud. DigitalOcean is a simple cloud hosting provider dedicated to offering the most intuitive and easy way for you to spin up your own cloud server. You're going to get root access to that bad mamma jamma HTML5 console. And, of course, you can SSH all day long. Users can create a cloud server in less than a minute. And pricing plans start at only $5 for a month. 512 megabytes of RAM, 20 gigabyte SSD, 1 CPU, and a terabyte of transfer. And I just realized I haven't gotten a lot of tweets recently about your completion times. If you get it under 55 seconds, especially if you get it like under 40 seconds, screenshot that bad mamma jamma when you're creating that droplet and send it to your boy. I want to see those completion times. DigitalOcean has an amazing interface to get you rocking in no time. I love it. Because, like, when Rikai comes to me and says, hey, Chris, that crazy-ass Ruby script I set up to manage stuff, it needs even more RAM. And I say, Rikai, you Ruby maniac. But you know what? No bigs. You go over to DigitalOcean interface, you resize the droplet, lickety-split, now it's got twice as much RAM. It's so crazy easy. I love it. Their interface is simple and intuitive, and power users can replicate it on a much larger scale with the company's straightforward API. But the best part is, if you're crazy lazy like I am, and you don't know nothing about using nothing with an API, it don't matter. They have so many community apps out there that already take advantage of the API. You can throw it on your Android device, your iOS device, on your Ubuntu desktop. They got screenlit little things for different desktops. It's just nuts. You guys, you can plug it into Puppet, all kinds of stuff you don't even have to worry about because the API is so slick. There's an entire group of passionate community members already creating great content around it. And speaking of great content, they have some of the best tutorials on the web. So you get your droplet going in less than a minute, right? You're going to have your own dedicated server, KVM-backed virtualization on a Linux rig, all SSD powered in less than a minute. And then you're like, okay, well, now what do I do? Now I got this crazy, great, fast rig. What do I do? Great, great tutorials over at DigitalOcean. It's really a great package altogether. And if you use our promo code LASTDigital, well, you'll get that $10 credit. Well, guess what? No credit card required. You're going to be able to try out the $5 rig 2 months absolutely free. Go try out CoreOS. That's the next big thing. It's going to change everything. Why not go play with it? Go try out FreeBSD. They just launched FreeBSD support. Go try out anything. A Ghost installation, one of the best blogging platforms. Matt and I are raving about it these days, right? We both learned about the love for Ghost.
The thing for Ghost is awesome, but the thing that really sells me on it more than anything is if I'm working on a web project or something for a client and I got it my staging ground, I'm like, okay, we're all grown up now. I'm ready to hand it over to you.
Yeah.
I can actually transfer my droplet to their new account.
Yeah.
On top of the fact that they just got $10 credit. Same.
And they got data center locations in New York, San Francisco, Singapore, Amsterdam, and London, so you can have regional diversity or have something closer to you, whatever you want. DigitalOcean.com. Promo code LASTDigital. The best hosting system powered by the best operating system on the planet with the fastest hard drives and the best internet connections. Nice. It's such a great package. DigitalOcean.com. Promo code LASTDigital. Woohoo! Thanks, DigitalOcean. Okay, Matt, so, this is an app pick that is admittedly a little more U.S. focused. It is to address a problem that most of the world doesn't have their head so far up their ass so they don't have this problem. However, here in the good old United States of America, we have this thing called swatting. And swatting is sometimes a bit of a problem. Yeah. So, of course, whenever there is a social economic problem that can be solved with open source technology, the open source community steps up. I present to you SWAT-D. So this is a script that runs to erase your computer's hard drive when the SWAT team breaks into your house.
Happens every other week.
Yeah.
I've gone through like 10 doors this month.
Yeah.
I mean, geez.
So, for example, let's just say
That's so
here the
awesome.
author says SWAT-D was originally written as a tool to defend against theft by criminals or detect when your computer is captured by police. For example, you can set a sensor to detect if your Wi-Fi network is in range, and when it goes out of range, automatically unmount encrypted volumes. So if someone steals your laptop from your house, your files will be safe. Since SWAT-D only counts the failure when the sensor changed from Wi-Fi in range to Wi-Fi out of range state, if you use your laptop somewhere else, you don't need to worry about disabling SWAT-D every time you leave your house. It's kind of neat.
Wow. You could actually, here's where you kick this up a notch. Smart things, sensors.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
And it doesn't have to be. It doesn't obviously have to be your. What it really is this is a sensor-driven event system for your Linux box.
Absolutely.
So you set up event triggers like Wi-Fi coming in out of range. This IP address comes available on the network, et cetera, and then you can trigger different behaviors. You've seen this before with things like Tasker for Android.
Oh, this is very cool because it's action. It's behavior-based actionability type goodies.
Yeah.
I like the idea.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not just SWAT team.
No, that's tongue-in-cheek. That's just to
Yeah,
get your
it is.
attention.
It's a good name, though.
But the concept works as such that you could have a sensor in your house that when the SWAT team kicks through the door, it wipes all the drives on you. This actually could do that.
Well,
It
and
could actually do
another
that.
approach. Yeah, you could. But another approach is like if you have you literally turn on an alarm for burglars, right? And they come through and they trip that sensor, and everyone else is out of the house because you've made sure of this. Drive's taken care of. Done.
Yeah.
They take your computers, whatever your insurance covers it. Who cares?
Producer Rotten Corpse reminds us that the Linux Action Show does not condemn avoiding the police or interfering with a search warrant.
Of course not.
And of course, it's open source code, so you could use it for anything.
Absolutely. I would use it for like home defense, home protection, home invasion.
Yeah.
You're working on like some big secret thing, and your competitors like coming to raid your house to take it. There you go.
I love the approach that they took. I think
It's a very good attention getting.
condemn. Oh, yes. The Linux Action Show does not condone. I think I had a Freudian slip and say we don't condemn if you erase your hard drives. I mean, I totally
you're
meant,
hiding under your bed. It's
I
okay.
totally meant condone. Not the exact opposite at all.
Yeah.
I promise. All right, so SWAT-D, will have a link to that in the show notes. All right, so while we are all living in this movie universe where the police are busting down our doors and our drives are wiping, or somebody steals our laptop and we have such awesome information that's got it, because we all are this cool.
Absolutely. Right, yeah, we're that exciting.
Except you don't have a movie UI, do you? And that's the missing piece, isn't it? 'Cause
where's my movie UI?
if you got an auto-destruct Linux laptop without a movie UI, I don't know why you're showing up. You just brought a knife to a gun party. So let me show you Dex UI.
Ooh.
Dex UI here. It is a Linux desktop environment, totally inspired from the movies.
Dude.
Yeah, let me show you a little bit of
this.
It's way better when you see it in action here. This is the actual desktop UI animation. Look at all of the stupid moving sensors.
This is friggin' cool.
The whiz bang, little radar things on the side. Right? This is Dex UI. It's not fully portable yet,
man.
but the author is working on it. It is a functional window manager of sorts.
Sure.
It works good in a touch environment too.
Okay.
And there actually could be a use to have a
Oh yeah, you want to send out like bogus tutorials?
See, the chat room loves it. The chat room loves it. Isn't
Yeah, this is
right?
friggin' cool.
Could you imagine doing tutorials in this? You would look so badass. Or like if you had this up on a dashboard, like when clients come into your office.
You have a black hoodie and sunglasses. You have to have that if you're doing this.
So for those of you listening, there's like there's in the middle a terminal, and that's like the only functional piece of the desktop. On the left and right sides, there's like wavelength spectrum analysis and big countdown clocks, and on the right side, there's like signal analysis and radar. I mean, it's simply the coolest looking UI you've ever seen.
That's cool.
And you can actually go get the source code. It's up on GitHub right now, and pull it down, and you could actually use this on your laptop. You combine this with SWAT-D. Chris is just saying you're going to have a good time.
Absolutely. And especially if you're producing like maybe you're doing a movie on a budget, right?
Yeah.
I mean, SWAT-D and this together,
Right.
I mean, your movie's going to look fantastic.
I know, you're already done. You're already done. Hey, if these app picks didn't float your boat, but we've got some previous ones, go over to jupiterbroadcasting.com/last-picks. That's all of our previous picks over there, and you can also fork it and keep your own local list if you're cray-cray like that. jupiterbroadcasting.com/last-picks. Previous runs Linux desktops, spotlights, Android distros, and we're also looking for people to help flesh out any of the missing bits and pieces.
Woo!
Yeah, it's really cool. Thank you guys for working on
Very
that quite a bit. All right, Matt, let's do the news.
Hey, it's the news, and this episode is brought to you by
Ting.com. Matt, Ting is mobile that makes sense. Ting is my mobile service provider for over 2 years now, and Matt's mobile service provider too. Wow, that blows my mind.
Bam!
Wow, that's a long time. Go get started right now. Last.ting.com, las.ting.com. Give you a nice discount off your first device, $25. And if you got a Ting compatible device, well, guess what? They'll give you a $25 credit, which might last you longer than your first month. I got 3 lines. I got three
lines
on my Ting, and I'm paying like maybe the most I've ever paid. Maybe the most is $45, $47, like when we were traveling or something.
I'm hugging the 20-something, you know.
Oh, yeah.
All over the
It's
Wi-Fi.
awesome. Last.ting.com. Go over there and check it out. It's no contract, no early termination fee because there's no contract, and you only pay for what you use. Flat $6 for each line, and then it's just your usage on top of that. Your minutes, your messages, and your megabytes. Getting even better really soon is Ting is going GSM. They've just sent out the first batch of GSM SIM cards. I've got mine, and I'm trying to pick out which one I should get. I'm really, really tempted to go pick up a One Plus, but there's really none available. But there's so many great options you're going to have once Ting rolls out GSM. They're going to be accompanied, their GSM service, with their existing CDMA service. So not only are you going to have the benefit of CDMA and GSM coverage, but you're going to be able to manage all of it with Ting's awesome dashboard. Switch in between. And if you got something like the Nexus 5, like I do, you'll be able to rock CDMA and GSM. And that dashboard is great. It lets you set limits. You can set notifications, manage your devices, activate, deactivate devices, park them for a little while if you don't want to pay for them for a bit. So many great options, and Ting also, besides that great dashboard, has a vibrant online community and no-hold customer service. You can call them at 1-855-TING-FTW anytime between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Woo! That's East Coast time. And a real Canadian answers the phone. And another thing we love about Ting, Ting knows all about them apps. And Matt,
yes.
I know sometimes you're a bit of a bargain hunter.
Always.
And, you know, we all know that the Googs already has a ton of data about us. They know
They
know what we're buying. They know what we like. So wouldn't it be interesting if there's a way we can make a little money off that?
I like this
Well,
idea.
guess what? Kyra's here, and I think she's got a way for us.
Without having to dish out the cash? I'm Kyra, and this Ting's App of the Week. Google Opinion Rewards is an official Google app that surveys mobile users about their opinions on everything and anything. With questions like, which logo do you like best? Or, when do you plan on traveling next? It's a simple way to pick up some extra credit on your Google Play account. After downloading the app, answer some basic questions about yourself. Then, keep an eye out for occasional notifications sent to your Android device. By completing a short survey, you can instantly receive up to $1 in Play credit. The amount you get varies with each survey. You can also view your full history of rewards, complete with dates and specific amounts, inside the app. Responding to a survey is completely anonymous and only takes a few minutes. Google Opinion Rewards is free on Google Play. There's a link below me and in the description below. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for a new app review next week.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kyra. That's a
Nice.
great one. I mean, you know, they've already getting information on you.
Right.
Why not get a little Google Play rewards? Maybe you can go get yourself a copy of Minecraft for free or something after a little while.
I love
huh?
that. You know,
go treat yourself,
A
kids.
little bit of Google, get a little bit of Play. It's all good.
Hey-o.
Hey.
Yeah, so go, and also, seriously, go start saving money right now. Last.ting.com. They have a savings calculator over there. I think one of the great things about Ting is they're sort of reawakening the competition in the mobile industry in a big, big way. In fact, over on the Ting blog, Ting talks about the rumors that Google might get into a similar game. And I think you're seeing Ting has brought a lot of legitimacy to this market, and they're proving that this is a sensible way. Ting's model, it makes sense. The way they have it structured is they're not taking advantage of you. They're not tricking you into a contract. They're not getting you to subsidize this long-term investment that they're making. Instead, Ting makes money when you save money. It's a great system, and it puts you first, and it gives them it makes them the priority. It gives them a clear goal to make you happy. It's a really great system, and that's why they're constantly blogging about ways to save data, things like net neutrality. They're investing in fiber rollout now even. It's such a great company, and backed by incredible customer service. Why wouldn't you want your cell phone there? Why not go over there and make a difference? Last.ting.com. And a big thanks to Ting. You guys are exactly what the mobile industry needs. Last.ting.com. And thanks to all of our listeners who support our sponsor and support the show.
Love those guys.
So, Matt, we talked about this a little bit on Linux Unplugged this week, but the Ubuntu project, and specifically Mark Shuttleworth, announced the Smart Things OS, Ubuntu Snappy Core, for all things like embedded, everything from a toaster to a robot. They have, we talked about Snappy Core. In fact, we even had a guest from Canonical on to tell us what Snappy Core was, but a quick recap, just super quick. It's a transactional update-based system. Really small, base OS, Ubuntu, read-only. When you update that, what you do is you pull down a whole new base image, you replace the existing base image, save the old one, and then when you reboot, if the new updated image doesn't work, you just simply roll back to the old one. All the applications are isolated in containers or some sort of isolation environment, and they don't get updated with the base core. The idea being this would be perfect to roll out across the Internet of Things type devices. And Mark Shuttleworth by no means is thinking small when he's talking about this. I've read a few interviews, and I was kind of mocking at first because some of the things he talks about, I'm like, oh, sure, yeah, you're gonna put Ubuntu on a drone.
It sounds a little granular. Yeah.
It does. Yeah. But then I watched Mark's video, and he believes it. So I'll play this.
All devices can talk to the same set of stores, and it will be possible to install on devices that have been configured to allow additional applications, apps from all sorts of vendors. So I think we're going to see robots where you can install software from any developer, and drones flying around where you could get control software from a range of different vendors. And that's going to unleash a wave of creativity and innovation in a very secure fashion that I'm extremely excited about.
So what do you think about that?
Boy, I was on board except for the whole drone thing. I don't know how much creativity they're going to be doing with a Gatling gun attached to a drone or Amazon packages flying at my face. I don't know. But, that aside, I'm a big fan of the Internet of Things. I kind of rock that at home.
Yeah.
It sounds really promising. So I'm excited.
Here's why I like it, is it seems like all of these vendors, they just never, ever, ever, ever get the software piece right.
No.
So if Canonical could focus on the software piece and provide a unified OS for everything from your Raspberry Pi to your phone to your desktop to your laptop to your big server, right? If they can do a full range where I can write an application and it can run on all of that stuff, that's a pretty compelling offer. I like that.
Huge. I mean, especially if you're someone that's managing such things, your life just got so much easier,
Yeah.
Saying.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. We'll watch it. And for further discussion, check out this week's episode of Linux Unplugged. Hey, I wanted to give a quick mention to the Pfsense project. Love the Pfsense firewall. There is a recent forking of it, and there was a BSD Now episode just a couple of weeks on that if you're curious about the Pfsense Fork. New version of Pfsense is out this week, though, version 2.2. It's FreeBSD based, not Linux, but I love it so much we talk about it anyways. Based on FreeBSD 10.1, lots of enhancements, including the ability for hardware-accelerated encryption. They've closed 392 total tickets, fixed 135 bugs. Very nice.
Wow.
They've gotten some new DNS improvements in this. They've reworked the back-end web hosting system. A lot of new stuff in there. Some NTP updates, OpenVPN updates, multiple cross-site vulnerabilities in the web interface have been fixed. This is a big update.
Wow. I mean, I like what they're addressing. I think these are key, important things.
All right, so we'll have a link if you want to grab that. I've got a Pfsense box at home. I'm happy to look forward to updating. So this surprisingly caught my attention this week. I come in and out of my obsession with KDE, and I have no idea what triggers it, Matt. I have no idea why, but Plasma 5.2 went out for beta testing this week. The Plasma desktop version 5 is under heavy development, and one of the best ways to get your hands on it right now is to go download the Alpha 2 version of Kubuntu 15.04.
Oh, okay. Well,
not even out yet. Yeah. So here, this is my. I've been running it for a couple of days. This is Plasma 5, and this is the latest 5.2 version running on Ubuntu 15.04 that you're looking at right here. And I've got hardware accelerated graphics with the proprietary NVIDIA. It's on a Bonobo Extreme, and I've been running it for a couple of days, Matt, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's definitely a little buggy.
Oh, sure. But, it's what, alpha, beta?
It's beta.
Beta? Okay.
Like, I bet you we could probably make it crash right now. If I go add widgets
that could be fun.
Let's see. And if I just kind of scroll around for a little bit, sometimes it'll just crash. And
it's pretty, though.
I'll add a folder. I'll put a folder over here. So that's working. So there's my desktop folder. Yeah, what do you think of the look?
There we go. That's what I wanted. Yeah. So,
So that does happen. So it seems to be whenever I work with widgets, it gets a little flaky on me. And then that widget just crashed. Wow. So there are some rough edges, but a couple of things that really jump out at me. Take a look at the new network management. Look how nice that freaking looks, right? If you click it, you get a little bit more information about it.
That's vastly improved. Yeah.
You can see you can see like exact 87% signal strength on this. Look how nice this looks.
This needs to happen on more desktops. That's really attractive.
Here's the volume is not too different.
It's about what I remember.
Calendar
looks better.
Doesn't that look great? Actually,
it looks a lot better.
Notifications tray. You can click that and expand that out. Very nice.
From a UI perspective, I love it. I think they really nailed it out of the box. I'd be interested. If they get the bugs ironed out, might check it out.
Yeah, it's a surprisingly good release. I don't think 5.2 is ready for mainstream users yet. I don't even know 5.3 is. It feels. I mean, they're probably going to hate me for saying this, but it feels about like 60% done maybe right now. But that's a really solid 60%. And because there's so many stuff like Dolphin and Quazzle that I use, it's already Qt4, and it works great under the Plasma 5 and Qt5 stuff that it doesn't seem to matter if it's Qt4 or not.
Oh, it'd definitely be something to look at, I think, when it comes to release. I think that's something you guys ought to check out.
One thing, though, is right now, I'll say this, couple of gotchas. Firefox sure looks like super butt under KDE 5.
It has a very generic look to it, right?
Yeah, very bad. And then also you'll notice Dropbox icon down here, stuff that uses really old notification, like the old XDG icon embed.
Although other desktops have had that problem, there's actually a bug going around.
Yep.
So
finally, to move things forward, KDE dropped support for that, and as a result, like you don't get things like your Dropbox icon down there and stuff.
Irritating.
But most things like Steam and Telegram and all that stuff show up just fine. So
very cool.
Yeah, so there you go. That's my KDE 5.2, and I agree. The chat room says, and I agree with them. The kicker's looking really good. And it does, and
it's kicking butt.
I know because people are going to ask. I'll go over here to Workspace theme, and I'll show this off too.
Right?
So
Yes.
I'm using the Breeze theme.
Breeze theme
with Breeze Dark desktop theme, and that's probably what you care there. And for my colors, I'm using the Breeze colors. So I'm just kind of keeping it fairly breeze neutral.
Breeze dark and breeze.
Yeah, just to kind of get a feel for it. You know what? Let's try breeze dark. Let's try it, Matt. Let's see what we think.
Ooh, that's dark.
Ooh, I kind of like that though. Oh yeah, I'm kind of digging that. I think I'm going to keep breeze dark.
That's got a nice pop to it.
Yeah,
sure.
I think I like this. Easy on the eyes.
Yeah, it is. I likes it.
So yeah, if you want to play with it, just go grab the Alpha 2 of Ubuntu 15.04. It's Alpha 2. So it's super early days. It's kind of like rolling. It feels like I'm running rolling Ubuntu right now because I get updates every day.
What it is, and I think if you look at it from the perspective of this is what it's going to be, I think you'll have a good time. If you go into it and say this doesn't work, well, it's an alpha. What do you want?
Yes, the Steam menu chat room does work, and the improved K runner is super nice. Alt space launches it, and then I mean this is far and above a great launcher. It is
I like
I think it's better than Synaptics and Gnome do.
I can see why. Yeah,
I really like it, and it's smart too. It learns, and you can do math in it and stuff. Like it has all kinds of like nice functions.
So it's using that same backend as Synapsis, I think.
Yeah, and it's using it uses the new Bono or Babu search or whatever it is. It's a really fast search.
Okay.
Anyways, the KDE project's really busting it out. And the one last thing is 5.2. When we went to a KDE user meetup before Christmas, and one of the things I said, watch 5.2 because when that lands, a ton of the design group's work has gone in, and you really see it in this one.
Wow.
There's a lot of small refinements in this one. So you're watching this animation here. Watch when they delete this widget here. A little undo notification comes up. Look how nice that looks, right?
Now, for newbies, that's huge because that's going to happen. To be like, I thought I was deleting something else.
Also, say goodbye to the cashew menu. Cashew menu is gone, and say hello to the cashew menu, which is also a hamburger menu over in this corner now.
Okay.
So you still have a button on the desktop you can't get rid of.
Well, at least it's a hamburger. I like hamburgers.
Yeah, I do too.
That's okay.
So great work to the Plasma folks. And I'll link it in the show notes. SoftPD has a write-up about Ubuntu 15.04 where you can read more, but it's basically what I just told you.
Visually, I like it.
All right, so for those of you who love Gnome like I do, the upcoming Gnome 3.16 release is... it's funny, Matt. It's got one of these changes in it that is like a one-sentence thing, but it could signal an entirely new direction for Gnome.
Oh gosh!
So not like that big. I might be overstaying a little bit, but so Mutter is an important back-end piece to Gnome Shell that helps draw things on the screen, and Mutter, as of Gnome 3.16 now. And I'm reading through, not only has it worked for extensive Wayland improvements, which is great, but now all GTK Plus drawing and all window decorations will be done by Mutter on the GPU. If I'm reading this right.
Okay.
Which seems like a really, really big improvement.
I would think so.
The other thing they're introducing in Gnome 3.16 is VP9 based, so WebM is VP8.
Oh, right.
VP9 based screen capturing, so you'll be able to do a built-in screen capture right into Gnome Shell. Screencast will just do right to VP9. Which is really kind of cool. So this is very exciting because I think having this breakthrough of Mutter on Wayland, my understanding is that means you're going to have very high performance window drawing under Wayland using Gnome 3.16. If that's true, it could mean that one of my initial fears once Wayland rolls out is that we were going to have sort of a rollback in desktop performance and UI enhancements for a little while as we worked out some of these things.
The question's like, well, can I use two desktops? laptops, that sort of thing. You know?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
little things that
Yeah.
honestly break it for me. So.
Yeah, so I'm really, really pleased to see the Gnome 3.16 not only does it have a ton of modern improvements and some nice technical improvements like VP9 screencasting, but also looking like more Wayland work is being laid down.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and with Fedora 22 doubling down on Wayland as well, could be a good timing on that.
Definitely.
So, last but not least, the Librem 15, the best Linux laptop, as they claimed, which went over on crowdfunding, and I backed it because I thought, all right, sounds like an interesting
everybody
initiative.
was saying, "Oh, it's never going to make it. It's never going to," you know. It's like,
Right, and we had the founder on Linux Unplugged to kind of get his idea, see what he was going for. Well, this week, it met its goal.
Ooh.
It was funded. Like, it's over funded at this point. So, Purism will be manufacturing the Librem 15.
Wow.
And their whole promise here was to have a really nice MacBook-like style Linux laptop with as much open code in it as possible. You know, a few binary blobs for like the BIOS, and if you decide to enable the NVIDIA driver.
Right.
But I didn't, you know what, when I backed it, I wasn't so sure. It's going to have a 1080p display, 3.4 gigahertz i7 processor, Intel 5200 Iris graphics, as well as an NVIDIA, at least in mine, that I upgraded to. Of course, it's got Wi-Fi, and it's going to ship with Linux, Trisquel Linux.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah,
very compelling.
It's going to be a very high-end Trisquel Linux laptop.
That, you know, I'll tell you, compared to some of the other free laptops that have been available, that's pretty impressive.
I hope mine's one of the early ones because I backed it early on because I'd love to be able to get a review out for you guys as soon as possible. So I'm hoping that when they start shipping, mine will be one of the early batches, and I'll have a full review, and you know, maybe it'll become my new laptop.
There you go.
Maybe not. Speaking of Triskel, Matt, guess what?
What's that?
That's all the news for this week. So let's go meet the man who founded Triskel GNU Linux. We're about to talk with Ruben, the main developer and founder of the Triskel GNU Linux distribution, and what it's all about, and get a little background on the project. I'm really excited to talk to him because it's quite an ambitious effort. And we've got a great batch of questions from our audience, too. But first, I want to thank our segment sponsor, System76. Go over to System76.com. You have a whole selection of machines. Like, I love that Ultra Pro. It's a great rig with the Intel video graphics. You have the open-source video drivers in there, and a brilliant 1080p IPS display and a 14-inch screen. It's super tight resolution. It looks really good. They also have a whole range of fantastic desktops. Great for the office, all the way up to extreme gaming or production work. System76.com. Creators of machines born to run Linux. Go visit them. Get yourself a rig. Stop fighting with Linux. Or stop fighting with your hardware and enjoy Linux. If you've ever felt like it's an unsatisfying experience when you get something set up and nothing works, it's not working right for you. Or maybe you went and bought a laptop that wasn't really meant for Linux. Maybe it came with Windows pre-installed, and it's just been a constant fight. It's got a bunch of proprietary garbage in there that you're always messing around with. That's not a good experience. That's not an experience you'd want a new user to have either, and that's where System76 comes in. Plus, they're offering lifetime support of the Ubuntu installation.
Nice.
System76.com, and a big thanks to System76 for sponsoring the Linux Action Show. Guys, go get yourself something and then tell them the Linux Action Show sent you.
Woo.
Matt, I'm really excited to welcome Ruben to the show from Triskel. And Ruben, welcome to Linux Action Show. I realize we might have a few folks that are watching that don't have any idea what Triskel GNU Linux is about. Could you give us a little background about the project and when it got started?
Sure. Well, first, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure being here. The project, the Triskel project, is about making a fully free distribution, free as in the definition said by the GNU project, the Free Software Foundation, and originally by Richard Stallman. So that is software that allows the user to be free. So those are the basic rules that make the project. But then we try to get as much usability out of it, and also we try to get other social components, other important stuff such as accessibility, which is something that many distributions tend to leave out because it's tricky to do. So you may need to compromise, and they tend to compromise in what we think is the wrong side of the spectrum. So we tend to always focus on the social responsibility of the project.
And I have to say, it's a good-looking desktop too. Like, I think sometimes people hear those sort of goals and that mindset, and they think, It's going to be very esoteric, very bare bones, very ugly, when in fact it's a beautiful Linux distribution. It really shows you that you can have something quite elegant that also respects freedom.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's, you have to choose between both things. You can have both without a problem, so we try to make it pretty.
So how long has Triskel been around now?
Over 10 years. We just did our 10-year anniversary recently.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, so...
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we keep strong with it.
I wanted to ask you that because one of the top voted questions in our subreddit that came in for the project, and we've gotten, in the last few days, we've gotten something like 53 questions that came into the show. And I know you saw some of them.
That's awesome.
Not Seeking Drama had a question that I thought was very poignant looking back over the 10 years of the project. And he says, how easy, if you were like to say chart this over time, how easy has it been to strip out non-free software from upstream distributions as time has gone on? I.e., has it gotten easier or harder for you to stay true to your vision when you're pulling from upstream distributions?
We started, that's also mentioned in another question, we started by being based on Debian, because when we started, it was pretty much at the same time that Ubuntu was initiated. So we, being Debian users, we started it that way, and eventually we moved because we felt that we needed to make a free version of the most used distribution. So how does that change through time? I think that Ubuntu, that's also mentioned in the question, from the Ubuntu part, it hasn't changed much. Their philosophy has gone steadily, slowly worse with time. Originally, they used to put in their front page, the description of the project was, this is an open source distribution, blah, 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 and they will explain that. Then I think it was because they met with Richard Stallman and they changed that for a brief period into, this is a free software project, and they explained that. And then after that, that didn't work very well, that relationship apparently. So it kind of went down from that. And they nowadays they don't even mention open source in their front page. They just say Ubuntu is an operating system. From the technical part, luckily, since their upstream is Debian, and Debian has gotten better with time at removing non-free pieces, then it's in some way easier for us because it's better cataloged and better, like they improved a lot in Debian in how they create their the documentation for the licensing of each package. So that makes it easier. It's not being helped in any particular way by Ubuntu. They never changed in that sense, I think.
And I noticed too. So I've been playing around with Triskel over the weekend, and I'm really impressed with how beautiful it is. I know I already mentioned it, but it really stands out at me. And I'm looking right now at the kernel that ships with it. Does the distribution opt to roll its own kernel, go different from an upstream kernel, and why is that?
Our kernel is a bit of a blend. So we use the Ubuntu kernel. We follow their release cycle. We have the long-term support releases of the kernels being backport into well, it's the other way around. In the long-term support versions of the release, you get backport the newer kernels from releases that are newer. That way, if you have a very new hardware, you can support it by installing that backported kernel. So that's a good thing that we want to incorporate, but we don't want to use the kernel that Ubuntu ships because that contains non-free pieces. And it also, one thing we don't want is that when you try to load, if a driver is composed of a free software module, but it loads a non-free blob, it usually prints the name of the blob. and we don't want to encourage the installation of those pieces. So all of that machinery has been disabled. That's been done by the Linux Libre project. They developed a script that takes the upstream, the vanilla kernel, and cleans it. So we apply that to the Ubuntu kernel, and that makes the Trisko kernel.
But that doesn't necessarily prevent a Trisko user from doing something like installing the NVIDIA proprietary driver, right? I mean, the project doesn't go out of its way to prevent a user from doing that.
Well, in that particular example, it doesn't. With firmware, and this is not by desire, this is something that we, both in Triskel and in Linux Libre, consider a bug that's been long-standing. If you install firmware, it's not going to get loaded. We are working to try to work around this in an ethical way. So that's happening at this moment. Let's see what gets out of it.
Okay.
This is for firmware, but in the case of the NVIDIA driver in particular, that's different. You can install whatever you like in the system. It's yours. That's part of the freedom. We just don't encourage it. We don't recommend doing that to our users. So there's that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's shift gears. Micah in the subreddit asked a question that seemed like a lot of people wanted to know the answer to this one. He says, I have a question. Trisko comes with either Gnome or LXDE. Are there any plans to add more desktop environments, maybe like Plasma or Cinnamon? And boy, there sure were a lot of echoes for Cinnamon.
Yeah, that's apparently more of a practical question. So you can see how our desktop is a little different from others. It's Gnome, what we used, but it's Gnome 3, but we use a fallback. And there's a reason for it, which is that we want to provide, by default, a desktop that works for everybody, that's accessible, and that doesn't require 3D acceleration, because some machines can not have that without non-free drivers. So we cannot relate on a desktop that requires 3D, because some of our users don't have that luxury, let's say. So for that, we chose the GNOME fallback system, which we tuned up to make it kind of a little different.
Yeah, it's nice.
More user-friendly, maybe. That's
yeah,
our
it's
view
very.
in any case. But
it looks modern, but it has a traditional layout.
Yeah, we sometimes have heard some resentment about how it looks too much like Windows. Well, that's a default setting that we designed, so it's practical and familiar for people that are moving from Windows, which is pretty common. And then if you want to change it into make it look like anything else, you can.
Right.
So that's up to the user.
Right.
Going back to the original question, yeah, we are going to be introducing other desktops. There are many in the repos, by the way. It's not that we only have GNOME. You can install many others. We are going to start, I think, because there's already a volunteer working on it, by making a KDE version. So that should happen soon. It will be cool if we could have that in time for LibrePlanet, that we will be attending as usual this year. But well, don't look into that as a promise or anything.
So Tanik wrote in, and he wanted to know, was the FSF endorsement a plan or a natural consequence of Trisko having freedom of software as a priority for the project? So was it something like when you started, I guess is his question, you were hoping to have the Free Software Foundation's endorsement, or is it, do you think, just a consequence of the hard work?
We didn't start by making a fully free distro. It started by I personally was commissioned by my school in college to make a distro for the school, because that was fashionable at the time. And I was a GNU Linux user, but I didn't have much experience with the philosophy underneath. And I just made a standard customized Debian installer. I wouldn't call that a distro because
Right.
that's a different
Wasn't
topic.
quite there,
by the way,
yeah.
I don't call distros to all of the things that we usually call distros. Many are custom installers. But anyway, after that, Richard Stallman came to give a talk at my campus, and I got to learn a lot at that visit. And by the time, there was barely no options for fully free distributions. There was one. There was Ubuntu, was Argentinian. I don't know if it's discontinued or I think they're trying to rescue it nowadays, but it's not very active in any case. And back at the time, it never got very popular. I don't think out of Argentina in particular. So there was a lot to be done in terms of making free distros. So we changed our goals.
Okay.
Instead of trying to make a local distro for a school, we moved into trying to make a generic, full purpose, any kind of user, fully free distro back then. Sorry, I drift away a little.
Okay.
What was the question?
Well, actually, that gives me a good transition point. So you're talking about adding in these features. So let's talk about what is, the practicalities of the situation, the thing nobody likes to talk about, the money aspect of this. Is money and funding a bottleneck for the project? If there was increased funding, would there automatically be increased productivity, or do you feel like it's at a good level right now and funding isn't a bottleneck?
Well, you can find nonprofits that had gone more funding and their productivity has been more or less the same. And you can find examples of places where it's helped a lot. So I think your mileage may vary depending on each project. For the Triskel one in particular, we want the distribution to be a community effort made by volunteering, but also we realize that a project like this requires that some of the tasks, the most vital stuff like maintenance of the servers, creating the development system itself and curating the basic packages that we need, that needs to be done with some constraints of time and quality, and you cannot always rely on volunteering for that. In a project this size. You can't do that if you're Debian or if you're a bigger project. You're going to have enough volunteers. Some of them are going to be contributing a lot of their time. They may get corporate sponsorship, so they can use all of their time to do that. But we are very tiny. So our goal is to get enough funding to get to pay a small group of people, like 3-5 people. So Trisko will be their only job. So that will guarantee a level of quality.
That's great.
That then the community can build on. So that they will be providing the extra mile over something that's very strong.
That's
our goal.
Great
We are
news.
not there yet.
Wow. Well, congratulations. That would be when that happens. That'll be.
We have been growing very slowly in these last 10 years in terms of funding, but still, we at some point somebody suggested me to start putting a donation button there, and I thought, well, we're gonna get some amount that's gonna be like symbolic, and then we can go and get some beers once a year or something.
Right? Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So it blew me away at the time. We got a much bigger response than that. It's not big enough to pay salaries, even for a full salary for myself. But it's still a lot more than what we thought it will happen. So that got the project thinking about growing in that sense. I don't know how it's going to be in the future. I hope we get to to those numbers, so we can hire these people.
So while we're talking about the future, this is really kind of my last question. I'm really always kind of curious to know if you'd be able to share with us what's sort of on the near horizon, feature-wise or change-wise, for the distribution. Is there anything you can kind of share with us about what's coming up or things you're working towards?
Things we are working on. We are trying to make a lot more effort into privacy. So I've started to work on IceCat as a GNU project. It's incorporated in the Triskel, but it's a GNU project itself. So it's an alternative version of the Firefox browser that it's actually free software, because Firefox sadly isn't free software. And
IceCat, I love it.
Oh, that's cool.
That's great.
Well, if you want to get into that, I don't think it is free software, and the FSF stance on it is that it's not free software, as it is. So anyway, we make it free software, and then we make it privacy oriented.
Okay.
So that's a way bigger task than what we had anticipated at the time, because as it happens with a distro, and a browser is like a operating system nowadays, it offers so many features. Then the thing is, developers are very often compelled to put something practical in place in turn for some privacy or other ethical future or right that the user may have instead.
Right.
So things like having something so basic as, why do browsers accept third-party cookies? It doesn't make much sense. It's just it makes sense from an economical point of view if you have partnerships with advertisement companies, as browser developers usually have. But as you see, they put their order of priorities is not very good there, because you should be getting the best privacy for your users in the very top of the list if you are a web browser. So that's one of the things we're working on. So we are incorporating that into both a browser, the default current kind of bleeding edge latest version of Firefox-based browser in Trisko, and then on IceCat as well.
IceCat, and we'll have a link to that in the show notes. That looks like a great. I had not heard of it, and it's thank you for bringing it to my attention.
Yeah, that's a very big thing on its own. It's going to be working a lot on it. Actually, a new release is coming up very soon. Yeah, you should take a look into it. It's very focused on privacy, actually.
Very neat.
Very cool.
Well, Ruben, I feel like I have 100 more questions, and there's a bunch more in our subreddit. Maybe down the road we'll have you back on, and we'll chat with a whole bunch of more stuff. Where should folks go to find out more about Triskel GNU Linux?
Sorry?
Where should folks go to find out more about the distribution?
Yeah, they can go to triskel.info. We have there's one thing about our project is that it's completely self-contained. We don't use third-party services for documentation or for our build system or anything. Everything is in our servers. So if you go there, you will find all the details. We have a wiki. We have a very active forum. And also, we just set up very recently a new development system that's in devel.triskel.info if developers are interested in helping. It's our build system is very simple in that we used like a wrapper script that tells where to take a package from, what modifications do you want, usually by processing it with Perl or sed or things like that, with some basic GNU Linux commands. And then that's it. You just send that to the server, and it compiles, it builds the package, it sends it to the repos and everything. So if contributors are interested, they can go to develop.triskel.info.
Very interesting aspect of your project. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's fascinating to hear and very ambitious, but I applaud you too. As a former sysadmin, I would be very tempted to want to roll all of my own stuff too. I think that's the direction I would go. And with systems available today, it seems very doable. All right, Ruben. Well, thanks. Thank you very much for coming on the show today.
Thanks to you.
Thank you.
Bye. And that brings us to the end of this week's broadcast.
Yes.
Big show today. And we have one little community FYI to get to, and then we have an announcement to talk about, too. So first, I wanted to thank very much to Crossroads1112, who passed along and said he just finished packaging PCBSD's new Lumina for Arch. You know the new Lumina desktop? We've talked about it on the show before. It's been featured on BSD Now a couple of times. It's in the AUR as Lumina-DE-Git. That's LUMINA-DE-GIT. And try it out.
Very, very cool.
No longer a PCBSD exclusive. It is a new Qt-based desktop with traditional desktop environment. And also, if you're running ZFS on your Linux rig, I'd be really curious to know how the file manager ZFS integration works on Linux. Or if
that could be really exciting.
Yeah. So, Matt, now this is your last episode as co-host of the big show before you head out and captain the How to Linux series. Of course, you're still going to be joining me every single Tuesday on Linux Unplugged.
Always.
Episode 76, we talked with the guy behind the Gnome Builder project, which is doing an Indiegogo fundraiser right now to create a single IDE for the Gnome desktop. We had a chat with him as well as a bunch of other great stuff and some great Linus clips in episode 76 of Linux Unplugged. 77 this Tuesday. Matt, I know you are up and busy these days.
I am busy. I've got projects actually that have not even been announced yet. So if you want to follow those, it's a few things I've been working on and that are coming to fruition. So make sure to subscribe, either social links or email. It's there on matthartley.com.
Can we talk about the new cool thing that came out this morning, though?
Oh yeah.
Is this? Definitely. Can we say it's like officially announced right here?
Oh yeah, it's officially announced.
All right, what is it, Matt? What is it?
Okay, so we kind of put together a show. My wife and I have been toying with this idea for a while, but we wanted it to be unique and different from everything else that's out there, and we wanted to have it kind of a little bit of artwork along the way throughout the entire episode. So
should I play the intro?
Go ahead and play the intro.
All right, I'll play a little bit of the intro.
This is just a teaser.
Really, just point your phone at people, and it gives you like a needle point as to like how likely it is you're going to score that night. I don't know. I'm totally guessing. I have no clue.
Oh my gosh, do you know how great that would be if they made something like that for men? Do you know how many you could probably just get to not even talk to you? Like, it would make going out to a bar as a woman so much easier.
All right, there you go. So where do I go to watch it?
If you want to watch this, the fastest way, because YouTube is limiting their options for custom URLs, go to matthartley.com/YouTube.
Oh, there you go.
And then just subscribe from there.
Yeah, and look at I love this site too. What is this? This isn't Ghost, is it?
No, that's still WordPress, and I've still got to get it off
my old one.
I'm actually in the process of getting it onto the new host too, so it's still on my old host, but I wanted to actually run this as a test first.
If you just want to see a picture of Matt trying to eat a sword.
Yes, a pirate sword.
Yeah, matthartley.com. Check that out.
Absolutely.
Well, that's great, Matt. Yeah. And thank you. You have been an excellent co-host. And I can't wait to see what you guys do with How to Linux. We were, before the show, chatting about what you guys are working on, and super excited. I think tentatively we plan to start shooting and releasing early February. I mean, we might start shooting before then, but
we're pretty much ready to go. Like I said, I just need to get going.
And I think we still have what was it? howto@jupiterbroadcasting.com. I think there's still an email address out there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, or it might be in the contact page again, or we'll get it up soon if you want to send stuff into the show, and keep an eye out for some of the content coming up. And we'll update you here in Linux Action Show when How to Linux is ready to ship.
All right.
This is something we decided to retool it in a way that is just going to really they're very focused. It's just going to be about the content, very straight to the point, and I think that's going to be what people want when they're looking to solve a problem.
Well, and I've actually got a couple articles at matthartley.com that discuss exactly what to expect from How to Linux, and the updates to How to Linux will be submitted to that site, so subscribe and know when it comes out.
Oh, there you go. Get the inside scoop, matthartley.com. Last but not least, I want to plug our subreddit, linuxactionshow.reddit.com. It helps fuel the content for all of our shows over there. Really, it does. It's a great community, and it's a great way to interact with this show. Send something in for like runs Linux or an app pick or a news story. And voting and commenting also helps quite a bit. linuxactionshow.reddit.com. We also would like to get your feedback. Send that in over at jupiterbroadcasting.com/contact. And last but not least, you want to be like pro-level last audience member? I mean like pro-level.
Pro-level.
You could go to people like, yeah, I'm a pro-level audience member. Come over live. Sundays, 10 a.m. Pacific, jblive.tv. We got the chat room. We got a mumble room that's going.
That's right.
You can help name the show, interact with us in between segments, or yell at us during the show.
And there's a lot of wild, crazy stuff you don't see. Bacon.
Yeah, a lot more show. Double the show if you watch live. And you can go to jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar to get that converted to your local time zone. So you don't have to worry about that funky Pacific Northwest time zone thing.
Nope.
We got the robots over at the calendar page. They'll convert it for you. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning this week's episode of the Linux Action Show. See you right back here next week.
Bye, Z's.
Well, and so the last like jobby job where I actually went into a desk and worked. So they fire me. No, I quit. They didn't fire me. I quit. And I've actually never been fired. I've been almost laid off. But
I've
then
had
I got
a couple of eventful things, but that's another story.
So all right. So I'm all like, so I've quit, right? And I give him 2 weeks notice because Chris is your bro. He's gonna hook you up with some transitional time.
Well, to preface it, yes, we're at a quit at will state, but it's courtesy.
Yeah, so I don't want to burn any bridges.
Right.
I've been there for a little while. I'm your bro. I got you. So, of course, the new guy who I hated, which is why I quit in the first place, was really pissed off. How dare you quit? How dare you abandon us? So
really? Wow.
So I go down there. I give him the bad news. I go back up to my desk. I download DBAN.
Right. Well, yeah.
I'm like,
you gotta get that set up.
Time to burn. But I wasn't gonna. I'm gonna be there for 2 more weeks. I'm like, I just got it on a flash drive or a CD. I was back in the day. I burned it to a disk. I'm like, I got this. I'm gonna nuke this sucker. Oh, I'm already getting excited. Like, oh man, I love a good nuke and just pave and clean it, right? So I'm getting ready. I got the CD set off, and I go out to lunch. Great spot for lunch. I get some delicious fish and chips. And the great thing is it was attached to they shared the same wall.
Right.
And the CEOs, the two owners would come over and they'd be drinking beer. So if the owners are drinking beer, you can be drinking beer. So I'm having a beer. I'm eating my fish and chips.
Yeah, what do you care? You're leaving.
And my BlackBerry buzzes. Bzz, bzz.
Oh yes.
Can you come in? I need to talk to you. I'm like, okay, it's lunch. I'm like,
it's like if A, it's lunch, and B,
so
I'm quitting,
I say like, I'm next door. I'm finishing up. Do you want to join me over here? Because a lot of times people come over and have like lunch meetings.
Yeah, that's actually real common.
He's like, no, please just wrap up and come over as soon as you can. I'm like, ugh, okay. So I finish my beer and I go over there and I sit down and he's already got all of my stuff in a box.
Ooh.
And then my laptop's there and
because
I'm like,
it's a fire at Will State.
And I said, I need to get some stuff off my laptop.
Yeah.
He says that's fine. We'll get it taken care of for you. I don't know if I had like chats on there and I had emails on there and I had some Jupiter broadcasting stuff on there.
Well, it's one of those areas where Washington's weird because even though technically speaking you did quit.
Yeah. They can now fire
They then roll that into whatever they want to call it.
They get out of here. We'll pay for it.
Put you out the door.
So I didn't get it. So and that was the one laptop where I'd basically I'd had a lot of issues with that guy, and so there was emails on that laptop about that guy. There was chats on that laptop about that guy, and that was out of all of the times I ever just wanted to boom and get out, that was the one time where I didn't get an opportunity. Now, thankfully, this was the first job where I ever went in there and I said, I will only work here. This is when I started to get to be a boss, and I'm like, I'm not. You can't have me unless I get to pick my hardware. And so that was my first job where I was like, all right, I'll work here, but I get to buy a laptop, and I got a system. That was the first time I got a System 76 laptop at work. This was a while ago.
So that's like 2007, 2008.
And it's been a lot. It's been a while. And so my only hope is because it was a Linux box, and this guy was such a Windows guy that he just had no idea how to get to any of that stuff anyways. So they just paved it anyways. But who knows?